Gives us 4.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Kevin's on mute.
You're on mute. Can't hear you.
Yeah, I just got booted out of the meeting.
Oh, you did? Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I went back in. I wanted to make sure it was doing the right recording. Sorry, Kevin.
That's all right.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
Okay.
Well, why don't I'll call us to order. The first thing is to determine if the proper notice was made, and Kim, we have a notice.
Yes, it was, sorry. It was notified of this meeting on September 16th in the Mount Desert Islander.
Okay, great. And next thing is to determine if we have a quorum present with our 7 board membership. We need 4 people to have a quorum, and I'm counting on one hand. I can see that we have a quorum. Now we have Jim Bright. Hi, Jim.
Can't hear him.
Yeah.
I got thrown out at one point.
Okay. Well, we could only see a couple people, so we decided to get out and come back in and see if we could see other people, so.
Yeah, they kept saying that the meeting was, so there was another meeting in progress, and so Kevin and I voted to adjourn.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, we now have 5 of us here, and Kim has just notified us of that the proper notice of publication was met. So I guess the next thing is to determine if any members feel that they need to recuse themselves from the meeting today, and hopefully they don't. The 2 members who are not here, Julie Reddish-Bennick and Jerry Summonsby, had contacted Kim today saying that they would not be able to participate. So I think we've accounted for the board members. I guess the first thing on the agenda is I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes, and if once that's seconded, then we can have discussion, but that way it gets before us properly. So is there anyone here prepared to make a motion to approve the minutes before us? So
I'll make a
Jim
motion that we approve the minutes.
and a
I'll
second?
second that. I'll
Okay,
second
and-
that.
Yes, thank you. Seconded by Kevin. Is there a question or discussion? If not, I can move on, and assuming that we approve that remote participation policy, following what's urged there, I'll do it by a roll call vote, which is how we're supposed to participate if there are members participating remotely. So I guess it's, I was going to use the way people sign, but I'll start with make me last. So Kevin, vote in favor of approving the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Jerry is not here. Jim?
Yes.
Lily?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie is not here. And then Bill, yes. So it's approved 5. Any opposed? No. Then we move on to the decision and the findings of fact. Is there a motion to approve that as written before us?
So moved.
John moves to approve, and a second.
Second.
Seconded by Jim. Any question or discussion? If not, I'll call that on for a roll call vote. Kevin?
Yes, I approve it.
Okay. Jerry is not here. Jim?
Yes.
Thank you. Lily?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie is not here, and Bill is yes. So again, that's approved 5 in favor. Any opposed?
So any of those that needs to be signed, that's the decision
Yeah, and then we should have,
by present, and then the other 2 need to come in and sign it.
yes. So what we'll do is we'll pass around the decision for signature, and then we'll get word to the two members not present to come into the office and sign so we can get that underway. So the next thing before us, and actually that would apply to Kevin and Jim as well, if you could come in as soon as you can to sign these. The next thing is the remote participation policy. And again, if we could have a motion to adopt that and then a second to get it before us.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Kevin moves to adopt. And a second,
I'll second.
Jim, okay, thank you. So now, is there a question or discussion?
This is mandatory, isn't it?
Yes,
Nothing to discuss.
by all the boards and committees in the town. What'd you say?
If it's mandatory, there's not really nothing to discuss.
You know, the only thing that I was wondering is about maybe electronic signatures. If that's something that the town could adopt. Because if we're doing it by remote, the whole purpose of that is so that we don't have to come in. Do you understand?
Right, well, why don't we look into that and report back on that? It's a very good point. I would say that right now, the town's position, as I understand it, is that if somebody is reluctant to participate in person due to COVID concerns, that's considered a legitimate reason not to participate in person. So what I understand the way this works is if somebody, if the situation is such that the meeting needs to be changed to remote, then the chair of the committee has the ability to make that decision. If individual members choose not to participate in person but remotely, then they are supposed to notify the chair as soon as possible in advance of the meeting. And it reads as though there's need to get excused from participating in person to participate remotely. But it seems to me that anyone who is reluctant to participate because of concerns about COVID, my intention would be to allow them to participate remotely.
Well, I
Is
guess
there any-
that goes back to the same thing like I was talking about. If somebody's reluctant to come in and they don't want to come in for the whole, to actually come in person, then I would think that the town would want to think about maybe adopting an electronic signature as acceptable.
Yeah, what, are you comfortable if we check on that and see? Because
Oh, yeah.
and then we'll get back to you and see, but I think
Sure.
that's a good.
It's always, we can always make an amendment to it.
Yes. I think this policy, as John pointed out, is the way the Board of Selectmen has acted. They want all the boards and committees to adopt it as it is. So if they end up amending it, or clarifying that it allows for electronic signatures, then I think that would apply to everybody too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm fine about coming in, but I was just thinking about how others might feel. If they don't want to come in due to COVID, or any illness or something, that they might be hesitant to want to come in to sign something.
okay. No, I think that's a great point, Kevin. Was there any other discussion? And not, I'll call this on for a vote. And again, the motion before us is to adopt the policy. Kevin?
Yes.
Are you,
Well done.
all right. Very good. Jerry is not here. Jim?
Yes.
Lily?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie is not here, and Bill, yes. So that's also adopted, 5 in favor. Any opposed? The silence we expected. Yeah. Thank you. We also had down on the agenda scheduling meetings, and it seems that Kim has spends a lot of effort, particularly with our board, in trying to schedule meetings. This would be an opportunity, if anybody is not being contacted by the best method to contact them, to let Kim know so she can change the email if she's using one other than the most convenient one, or if there's something else that could be done to make the contact more easily. And the other option, which we talked about, Kim and I, a little earlier, is that if she sends out a first notice and doesn't hear from, say, 3 of our members, that she'll let me know, and then I'll email those members individually. And that'll be the good cop routine. Yeah.
Or you could just
I-
send a cop and have him be on my door,
There you go.
and then that'd be the bad cop.
All right. And I think as we've learned and understand is that we can't send out an email to everybody amongst ourselves, as that's been held to constitute a meeting that needs public notice and the ability of the public to participate. So if that sounds good and nobody else has a different email or other way of contacting, then I'm game to try to take some of the load off Kim and see if I can reach out to the people that don't respond initially.
Yeah, I did the doodle poll. I ended up having to do twice for some reason and go through the first time. So that's
Okay.
why that was a little confusion on my part, but I am starting to receive the emails to my Gmail accounts, which is good.
Now, the reason why you got 2 doodle polls is because the September meeting ended up not being a good meeting for everybody to participate in, so I had to set out another doodle poll for the month of October. So once I get everybody that responds, then I can determine what day and time is best. And once I get everybody to respond and I find out, excuse me,
That's the policy.
that it doesn't work after all, the dates and times that I sent, then I have to do another doodle poll and look at other dates and maybe months. So that's why you got them back to back.
Yeah.
Great. And then on the agenda is our favorite one, other. So is there anything else, knowing that we can't actually do business at this meeting because it hasn't been noticed, but anything else that people would like to bring up or think about, things that we might want to seek to properly notice for another meeting? John?
I think it might be worthwhile to discuss whether we should have the ability in the future to conduct site visits on variance applications.
Okay. So I think the rules of procedure that we have were adopted by the Zoning Board of Appeals itself. And maybe we could put this on as an agenda item with the idea of discussing whether or not we could amend the rules of procedures on our own to allow for site visits in variance cases.
That would be fine, or just leave it for the next town meeting? Either way.
Okay, good.
Well, we probably ought to have somewhat of a discussion, during a meeting where it's on the agenda, in order to make sure that we clarify what we want, as far as like just if we're going to be talking about just variances, or because most things that go through the planning board's done the site inspection.
Right, you're right about that, but I was struck at our last hearing on the chicken coop question, where there was no record before the planning board, and all we had was a few photographs from the applicant, but we didn't have the benefit of the site visit, which I would have found helpful.
So we could put an agenda item on to discuss whether or not the Zoning Board of Appeals should provide for site visits in variance cases, and then have a general discussion and see what we come up with.
David, who's Kevin?
There.
No, he's back.
Yeah, he's back, yeah.
You're on mute, Kevin.
There you go. You hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think site visits would benefit you guys, you know, a great deal, because like John just said it, you know, that chicken coop one, if you had seen the property, you would have, you know, realized, or you would have known that, you know, she could have met the setbacks. I think it's a good idea to add that to
Yeah.
your rules of procedure, so you can get yourself, you know, a perspective of, because the aerial photo that I provided during the meeting, the lot lines were not really at its, you know, accurate, but it gave you a perspective of looking from the sky down at the property.
But we
Well,
couldn't
thank you.
do site visits to a regular appeal coming in, could we? Because that's already been done by the planning board. We're just,
I think, yes, I mean, this is the discussion we could have once it's noticed and might determine it would apply only to variances. Yeah. Well, it sounds good.
Yep.
Any other business? And I think we covered everything on the agenda. So Kevin, if you and Jim can come in to sign the policy and the finding and the judgment, that would be great. And we'll get word to Julie and to Jerry to do so. Is there a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Okay. I
I'll
heard
second
John. All right. Kevin, second.
I got John and Kevin is who I was. Is that okay?
Yes, that's right. I heard John before I heard Jim.
I did too.
Yeah, okay. It's not debatable. There's so many J's on this committee. I mean, it's just, because then there's Julie too, and this, yeah. So, no debate on that. All those in favor, we'll go through the roll call again.
Oh.
Or, if I have it. I was trying to use
Oh,
the,
put it-
I got it, thanks.
You got it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Kevin,
Yes.
all right, and voting in favor to adjourn, Jerry isn't here. Jim,
Yes.
thank you. Lily,
Yes.
thank you. John,
Yes.
Julie isn't here, and Bill, yes. So, any opposed? So we have voted to adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.
Good night.
Later.
Sleep tight.